Hey everybody, today Rahdo runs through Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, which is going to be a very interesting run through for me because today I am joined not only by my wife Jennifer,
hello,
who will be helping me try to solve a murder or a mystery of some such. I mean, we haven't actually looked ahead. We don't know what's going to be coming for us, but we're going to be trying to solve the murder. And the interesting thing is, we are actually simultaneously broadcasting this live on YouTube. So there's probably around 100 to 200 at any given time people watching this, hopefully taking notes, screaming at us, saying, no, go here or there. And we're going to try our best to try to take into account their feedback as well. Although, unfortunately, YouTube's interface for taking comments from the public is poor at best. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. Now, in this game, we are not Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. We are members of the Baker Street Irregulars, those young scamps who help out Sherlock and run all over the city. And we are actually competing with Holmes, trying to solve the case before he does. And basically what we're going to do is we are going to, now the game comes with 10 unique cases like this one, the munitions magnet, which is the very first one in the game. Every one of these cases is a booklet full of leads to follow up, characters to question, clues to look for, and ultimately at the very back, in the next to last page, is a questionnaire wherein we have to prove that we have solved the crime. And then after that, there's a final score page where we get to see how well we did compared to Holmes, because we'll have figured this out and we'll ultimately score, negative 13 points. And meanwhile, Sherlock Holmes will score a perfect 100. That's the way it's going to work. And basically what we do is we read sections of the case. That gives us clues. We make notes as we go. We decide for ourselves, hey, we should go interrogate that person. Or hey, we should go down to Scotland Yard. Or hey, we should talk to one of Holmes's many friends. We should go to Somerset House. Or we should go talk to Mycroft Holmes or Quentin Hogg or something like that to get more information. And what we do is we figure out what we're going to do. There's a code that lets us look this up in the book. The book tells us what happens, and that gives us more clues. That's the way the game works. And now, here's the tricky thing. I don't want to spoil this game by doing a run-through of the munitions magnet or any of the other 9, because there's 10 cases. If we did a full run-through of a case, if you wanted to buy the game later, 10% of the game would be ruined for you. So today we are not going to be doing munitions magnet or anything else. I should say also, by the way, every case, in addition to coming with the booklet, comes with a newspaper. And this is the newspaper that was published on the day that we took the case. And often there are clues inside the newspapers as well. So this game comes with 10 cases, 10 newspapers, but we're not using the official ones. A very nice man, Dave Neal, is a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. And he is in the process of developing his own fan-based case. I believe it's a 6-case storyline. And he has sent me 2 of them. And today we are going to be playing the first one from Dave, the Red River Valley. And just like the other one I just showed you, this is full of page after page of clues and leads and people. It works exactly the same way as a regular case, including, I'm not peeking here, but the questionnaire and the solution at the end of the book. So, this Red River case is not a case you can play anywhere in the world. It's never been published. Dave is actively seeking the opportunity to publish it, and he's doing lots of play testing. He's trying to get the ear of the publisher. But in the meantime, when I was talking to Dave, and I realized, wow, I've got a fully fleshed out case, complete with its own fully fleshed out newspaper that I could demo, and I wouldn't be spoiling anything of the main game. And so that's what we're going to be doing a run through of today. For the first time broadcast live ever, the Red River Valley. Okay, so I've got my little laptop here to take notes. So we are ready to go to the Red River Valley. Now, honey, are you going to read or am I going to read?
Why don't I try and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so the first thing that happens, when you start a case, and like I said, this is going to function the exact same way the full retail game does. It's just that you won't get this particular case, if you buy the retail version. So right off the bat, we have the morning edition of the London Times, June 3rd, 1889. There's a whole bunch of stories. There's obituaries, announcements of marriages. There's the Farrington Fish mystery, and Sir Edgar set upon for 4th time in 4 fortnight.
Oh, dear.
Survivors of burned vessel rescued. Now, some of these stories in the paper might be important. Some of them might have red herrings. Some of them are just totally for fluff, for flavor. Like, for instance, probably this ad for Crenshaw Dies. I can't imagine that's going to be particularly, or the chess challenge of the day. That's probably not going to be too important. Although, who knows, maybe it is. But anyway. So, we've got that. We can, if we ever get stuck, we can refer to it. But otherwise, it's a fine, I'm sure, a blustery day at 221 Baker Street. We are the Irregulars. We've just come over to visit Holmes and see what's up. And Jen is going to start reading. And I'm going to get her the water.
Okay. We arrive at Baker Street on an overcast summer morning. Overcast.
I was close. It's
England.
London. Of course it's going to be
Yes.
overcast.
Summer morning to find Holmes standing by the fireplace smoking, which is very bad for you.
It was a different time.
Yes, indeed. I'm sure he was smoking a cherry pipe or something that's...
Anyway.
He appears lost in reverie, and the clouds of tobacco smoke, twirling and drifting in the air, by turns obscure and reveal his aquiline features.
Okay.
Oh. It's only after we have stood in the room for a good few minutes that he finally acknowledges our presence. "Well, Wiggins," he says, turning suddenly to face us, "you are just the man I was hoping to see."
Wiggins is our boss. Wiggins is the head of the Irregulars, I believe.
Okay, well...
But anyway. Oh, no. No, that's not true. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry, Henry. I'm interrupting. Please continue.
Well, it's obvious that his perception wasn't that great because I am clearly not a man. So anyway, take a look at this and see if you and your friends can make any headway with it. Report back to me by sunset. And he hands us a telegram stamped with today's date.
And there's a telegram. And that's the whole intro.
I don't know if that's in focus.
Oh, no one's looking at that. Both cameras are right there.
Oh, okay.
So let's
Anyway.
just get it so if everyone can see the telegraph.
Telegram.
Telegram. All right. So why don't you read us the telegram, honey pie?
Okay. Post office telegraphs. It says telegraphs on the actual piece of paper.
Okay.
So I think maybe Holmes was...
Anyway.
Okay. If the receiver of a foreign message doubts its accuracy, he may have it repeated on paying half the cost of its transmission to him. In the event of an error having been made, the amount paid for the...
Okay, that's the small print on the telegram. What's the actual content of the telegram?
That's good to know. I mean, if you doubt the accuracy
Does
of
it
the
say
telegram.
who it's from?
Yes. It's from New York City.
New York.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, Western Union, New York City. From Dawley. D-A-W-L-E-Y.
I'm going to write that down. Telegram from D-A-W-L-E-Y.
Yep.
Okay. I've got my laptop here to take notes.
Okay, yep, on Madison Avenue in New York.
Yeah.
It says, "Mr. Holmes, I know your reputation. I have no faith in English police. Please find the killer of my son and daughter. Will wire advance funds, invoice to return address. Yours in hope, Annabelle Dawley."
Annabelle Dolly.
Yep.
Annabelle Dolly. All right. And is that it?
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
There's some timestamps
And is there any more?
No.
Oh, because on the next page you get into the little individual.
Yep.
That's it.
Yes.
That's crazy. Because, again, no big spoilers, but most of these things, they start out with, the first thing you got to do is read 1, 2, 2.5 pages of very, very tiny text. It takes like 5 minutes of reading. So Jen definitely got it easy.
Well.
And clearly.
Yep. No, I could have read all
Right.
the small text on the telegram.
But in theory, that's. So, obviously, Holmes is not particularly bothered by this case. He's practically just brushing it off on us. And so we're supposed to, what was it? Investigate 2 murders?
Yep. The son and daughter of Annabelle Dawley.
All right.
And
that's all. That's
pretty
all we
much it.
have. See, now normally, in most of these missions, it's like this really long intro. And right off the bat, you are told about, well, this is a suspect, and this is the place where the murder happened, and all kinds of stuff. But right off the bat, this one's throwing us for a loop. It's not telling us anything. So let's see. Now, one tool we have is the London Directory, where you can see page after page after page after page of super tiny type. And maybe, let's see if the Dawleys are, although they wouldn't be because they live in New York, it said. Well, D-A-W-L-E-Y.
Yep.
No, there is no Dawleys in the directory. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something in the paper. Okay.
I'm scanning
in
the paper.
fact, actually, I've already spotted it. Look
Okay.
in the top right corner.
Murders in Waterloo.
Okay, breaking news, everybody. I think this might be related to our case.
Yes. 2 bodies were discovered in an alley near Waterloo Bridge on Sunday morning, both having had their throats slit in a most ghastly fashion. Scotland Yard have identified the corpses as those of Mr. Atticus Dawley and his sister Bonnie Layton, both of whom hailed originally from the United States of America. Detectives did not divulge any information regarding the likely reason for or perpetrator of the crime, though when suggested by this reporter, they agreed that robbery was being considered as a possible motive.
Okay. Although, of course, Scotland Yard, we know they're crazy. Possibly robbery. All right, so basically, Bonnie Layton, Atticus Dawley, they were found at Waterloo Bridge, you said?
Yep.
All right, that's what I have taken note of.
In an alley near Waterloo Bridge.
In an alley. Oh, alley near Waterloo Bridge. All right. Well, okay, I think we've got a name. Yeah, Dawley, so that's clearly them. So, and that's all. Now, another thing we can do is, on the back page of the instruction manual, there's a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 named people, associates of Holmes, that we can go talk to anytime we want, and they might help us out. They might give us some clues. And, and so like Sir Jasper Meeks, he's the head coroner at St. Bartholomew. He autopsies all corpses. So, there's 2 corpses here. If we want to, we can go talk to Sir Jasper at 38 EC, and we'd get out the book and we'd look up 38 EC, and we could ask him about the... Yeah. We could go to H.R. Murray, the criminologist. He analyzes items and substances found during the course of investigation. Although, I don't know if that really makes sense. We could go to Scotland Yard directly and talk to Lestrade and Gregson, which is always fun, and they'd probably give us a little bit more information. They have reports and elements relative to investigation. We can talk to Disraeli O'Brien. He's an archivist at the National Archive Office. If we ever are looking for old legal and criminal documents, if that comes up, we should go talk to him. We could go to Somerset House, where there's an archive of births, deaths, marriages, and wills. So if that comes up, that's something we'll have to check out. Edward Hall, and I'm sure people are already giving us suggestions about where we should go. Let's see. Edward Hall, that's we could go to lawyer at the Old Bailey's Tribunal. We can get information about trials and legal affairs. We can go talk to Porky Shinwell, the owner of the Rat and Raven Tavern. He can give us information about illegal activities and criminals. Fred Pollock is actually a member of Moriarty's underground criminal network, and he can give us information about Moriarty because he will inform on him. Henry, if Moriarty comes up in this. Henry Ellis is a journalist for the London Times. He will give us information about current events and foreign affairs. Quentin Hogg is another journalist at the Police Gazette. He'll give us information about criminal affairs. Mycroft Holmes, Holmes's brother, will give us information about the government in general. Langdale Pike is a society columnist who knows everything about gossip in London society. The Central Carriage Stables, which is where all the cab drivers get together, they can give us information about the movement of suspects. If we ever are wondering, well, hey, could they have moved from point A to point B in the 2 hours they said? Does their story add up? Lomax is a librarian at the London Library. He can be consulted for encyclopedic research. And finally, if we're stuck, and we should never do this, we can go talk to Sherlock himself, and he will give us a clue. Now, here's the thing. We want to solve this case in following as few leads as possible. Sherlock has already solved this case in, say, 7 leads. So if we do it in less than 7, we get bonus points. For everything we do over 7, we lose points, and more and more and more points. However, in addition to the murder of Bonnie Layton and Atticus Dawley, that's the main thing we have to solve. Who killed them? Probably how they killed them. There's going to be a few questions we have to answer about that. But in addition to that, there'll also be incidental, kind of like side quest or side plot things. So if we find out stuff about that, that's a way we can earn bonus points as well. Okay. Now, the most important thing to emphasize, everybody who's played this game knows you will not beat Holmes. He's impossible. He is obviously supernaturally superhuman in his deductive skills. And if you go in thinking, right, okay, we got to be careful, we got to make just the right moves and beat Holmes, the game can actually kind of break down and not be as fun. This should just be more about fun exploration, discussing what we want to do, which we haven't done yet. And I think now has come to the time to actually make our first decision. I think the most obvious thing to do would either be go talk to Meeks at the head coroner to look at the bodies, or go talk to Lestrade and Gregson, who might be able to tell us a little bit more about, because actually we don't even know where the scene of the crime is. Usually in these things, the first thing we do is we go to the scene of the crime and look for clues.
Well, it was in the alley near Waterloo Bridge, but which one?
Well, the interesting thing is, another resource we have is this lovely map of London.
London.
And what we can do is, where's Waterloo Bridge? Waterloo Bridge right here. So there are key spots, like there's number 95 next to Waterloo Bridge, WC 95, because this is in the WC section. We could say, well, let's actually go down here, because maybe we could actually just sniff around.
But there's all this over
well,
there.
yeah, and that's kind of a long shot. Now, here's the thing. If you decide on a lead, like say we want to check this space. It's close to Waterloo Bridge because maybe there's something there. If we choose that and we go to the book and we don't find anything, that doesn't count as a lead. That doesn't count against us. It was a dead end. And so, but once we actually follow a lead and then we read a new thing, we are closer to starting to lose points. But again, we shouldn't care about points.
Yep.
So we could see if, this is a space, although, like I said, it's probably these alleys over here. Plus, you'd expect Jen and I, sorry to anybody from the South Bank, but chances are the murder happened on let's not go down there.
Well, no, actually, it would be far more likely that it did happen.
That's what I'm saying, but people who live in that area today might say, hey, come on, that's a North Bank bias there.
That's true.
But anyway.
We are back in the 1800s.
So, does anybody have, does anybody have any suggestions about what they'd like us to do? Because I think, obviously, it's either go check out the bodies or go talk to Lestrade and see if we can find out, hey, where was the actual crime scene so we can go to that place, maybe.
Yep. Somebody says, I don't think the coroner would be good. We already know how they were killed. Their throats were slit.
That's true. I should write that down because I had already forgotten that. Fossil robbery, throats slit. Okay.
Yeah, I think still... Even though we know that their throats were slit.
Yeah. Snexer says, always check the crime scene. But this is an interesting one. This breaks the normal rules because we don't know where the crime scene is. So that's actually really interesting.
Let's see. Are there any material that we can follow along with? I missed the opening just now.
For anybody, sorry, this is for live viewers. Anybody who's just jumping in, you can use your time scrubber in YouTube, scroll back to the beginning, and then watch us at double speed. Hit the little gear, and you can watch us at double speed, and you'll catch right back up. Yeah, exactly. All right, so, I don't know. I think, let's see. We had one vote against the coroner, but no, I see a few people saying coroner.
Yep.
What do you think, honey?
I think coroner. Let's go.
Okay, so we're going to go talk to...
The police didn't have any clues anyway.
Yeah, well, it's Lestrade and Gregson. They're idiots.
Hopefully they will... No. The constables there had no idea.
Yeah. But, okay.
Oh, no, detectives did not divulge it.
So there could very well be information. But I think ultimately we're probably going to hit both these places.
Yeah, let's just go see the bodies.
Are you
first.
still reading?
Sure.
All right, so it's 38 EC. So go ahead and find that and tell us what Sir Jasper Meeks, the head coroner at St. Bartholomew Hospital, and this was our first move we've made. 38 EC. Move number 1.
Okay.
And is there a 38 EC?
There is.
Okay, so that's all right. So if the writer of this mission had nothing in mind, there would just be no 38 EC, and we'd say, oh, okay, well that was a dead end. Let's pick something else, and we wouldn't lose any points for it. And it's a long one. That is the life of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. It takes a long time. There's a lot of reading. Just sit back and get comfortable, folks. It's story time. All right, go on.
Okay. We enter to find Jasper Meeks leaning over a table on what we assume to be a corpse is covered by a gray cloth. Jasper is holding the arm, which extends from underneath the cloth, and examining the hand. The flesh is pale and bluish, and the fingers twisted in strange directions. We stand and watch this gruesome scene for a moment as Jasper turns the hand one way, then the other, and then notices us. Oh, it's you, he says, dropping the arm back under the sheet. I was just re-examining the corpse from a recent murder. He pauses. Sorry,
If you're getting a bit backed up, hang on, I'll take over reading. So.
Okay.
You're doing great so far.
Then stares straight at us, and I'll wager it could be the very same murder, or rather murders, that you are investigating.
I imagine so.
I know the police have got nowhere with it yet. Yes, Dr. Meeks, answers Wiggins. It could be, if it involves anyone named Dolly. Jasper nods. Well, indeed it does. Bonnie Layton, maiden name Dolly, and as you may well have seen, he says, gesturing at the cloth, 3 of her fingers were broken on her left hand before she was killed.
3 fingers broken on left hand before Bonnie killed.
There was also a deep cut on her face and rope marks.
Deep cut and rope marks.
On her wrists and ankles.
On wrists and ankles.
All pre-mortem.
Right. So obviously she was tied up and all that. And,
I'd say she was tied up for a few hours before her death. Well, look at our deductive
I
reasoning.
win.
Both she and her brother were killed by having their throats slit with a sharp knife.
All right.
I'll let you take over.
Right. Sharp knife. The method of...
Sorry.
For everybody who didn't know, Jen's still recovering from a cold. She's got a lot of phlegm in the lungs. All right, so where was it? With sharp knife. The method of killing reminds me somewhat of bodies I've seen in cases where some powerful figures from the criminal underworld were involved, at least according to your friend, Mr. Holmes. He's investigated some of those deaths himself. Jasper moves over to his desk and, sitting down, slides some paper over to him. So, possible... Do you want to start typing?
Sure.
All
Possible
right.
underground
Let's see.
connection.
I need to turn off the sound. There we go.
Okay.
So you can take the notes now. Possible underground connection. All right. Where was it? All right. Bonnie's brother, he says, reading his notes, Atticus Dolly was 26 years old, according to his passport, and she appears to be of a similar age. They were found in an alley in Waterloo at 5 a.m. Sunday morning, and I'd say they were killed sometime between midnight and 4 a.m. That's certainly important. His fingers were not broken, but the fingertips of his left hand had slight indentation marks as if from wire. And she had a ring missing. So he was holding onto wire, and a ring of hers was stolen. Now, she's married, obviously, because she doesn't have her, so obviously we're going to have to find her husband, which we might be able to find him in the London directory. I bet you he's British. All right, so, the ring was missing. How do you know? Well, she was wearing one ring when her body was found. Mr. Murray has it now, of course. Who's Murray? He is the criminologist. He analyzes items and substances found, so we might have to go talk to him about the ring. But on the index finger of her left hand, there was a very clear discoloration of the skin in a thin band and some minor bruising to the flesh just above. It suggests to me that she was wearing a second ring, which was taken off shortly before the murder, no longer than a day before, I'd say, and that it took some effort to remove. Which is the index finger? The index finger is the ring finger, is it?
The pointing finger.
It's the pointing finger. So something was removed by force within... Okay.
That's not a normal place to wear a ring, really, especially not back then.
Mysterious.
Ooh.
Alrighty. We nod thoughtfully and look back at the lifeless shape beneath the gray cloth, wondering what Bonnie Layton had seen in her final hours before her death. Meeks follows our gaze. I found they don't speak, I'm afraid, he says in a low voice. However long you look. They take their killer's name to the grave. He pauses and looks down at an old locket he had just lifted carefully from his desk drawer. And after a moment adds cryptically, along with so much else. I assume that must be a personal Meeks storyline.
Tragedy, yep.
Wow, that's kind of sad.
I know.
Alrighty, but okay, that is the end of 38E. That was our first lead, and there was a bounty of information. Yeah. Mysterious ring ripped off, another ring being analyzed by Murray. Now, also, let's see. What was her name? Layton?
Bonnie Layton.
So I'm going to see if there's a Layton that we can go visit.
Layton.
Layton. Here we go. And there's like 5 billion names in here. Not all of them are going to lead anywhere, obviously. Layton, let's see. There's Lavelle, Lawrence, Lazar. No Layton. Okay. So whoever her husband is, presumed husband, because although maybe he's dead, who knows, but apparently does not live in London. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I was thinking, because, obviously we'd want to go talk to him because you always got to suspect the husband. But, all right, okay. Oh, and then there's the underworld thing too, right? The killings were very much of an underworld styling.
And there was somebody in
Well, yeah, so we could go talk to Fred Porlock, who is a member of the criminal underworld, and he can give us information about the activities of Moriarty. And there's also Porky Shinwell, who is just a general, who runs the Rat and Raven Tavern, and he's just a general purpose source of information about legal affairs and criminals. But, the fact that it was specifically an underworld-style slang definitely points. And so, I would say all of those are perfectly valid leads. Go find out about the other ring. Go talk about any underworld dealings, murders. And, right, we can't find the husband yet. Or we could still go talk to Lestrade, who might be able to tell us where the husband is.
Yep.
So we're checking now to see if there's anybody has any suggestions. Professor Layton, somebody just shouted.
Yeah.
All right. I could have sworn I looked through here and I didn't see any Laytons. No. But somebody's very excited about Professor Layton. Maybe that's just an inside joke referencing some TV show that we're not familiar with.
Okay. Somebody says just go to the pub and get a drink.
Problem solved. All right. Oh, and as somebody said, check the newspaper to see if there's anything about jewel. Ah, very good, Smoked Jaguar. See if there's anything about jewelry or rings that could possibly relate to a missing ring. All right. Well, there's a personal section. Actually, this would be a good time I'm not going to read everything because there's a lot of text here, but let's just look at right, so there's an announcement of a birth. Floyd and Mr. Floyd Evershin had a boy, Horace. There's a marriage. There's 2 deaths, Edith Karuna and Leonard Sale. Personals. Reverend Francis Piggott acknowledges the receipt of £20 note for charitable purposes. TS32, there is no more, Q. So that is a very odd coded message. Could be important, could be a total red herring, could just be a couple of kids talking in their crazy twin language. Dale Florist General, all right, rare exotic flowers are available, found in Green Park, a gentleman's cane, black brass tops, some distinctive engravings. Tarot art, unique imported artworks from the continent and the United States. So there's an importer from the U.S., and these are U.S. citizens here. Shipbuilder, right, Werner and Shipwrights, shipbuilders for rights. These are just ads. These are the classifieds. The Thames Steamboat Company, private enterprise, bespoke vessels built to order. To those who sing with great vigor at the corner of Halkin Street each Sunday, please stop. All right, let's see. Miscellaneous. Mr. Weasley is excited to announce a new and thoroughly diverting game of pattying playable by all with adequate reflexes and a modicum of singing ability. Rules and equipment are available. Let's see.
Is he going to be doing it enthusiastically on the corner of the square?
I don't know. There's cowboy tunes on banjo and violin are being performed final week at the Tivoli Music Hall. Mr. Candleson begs to announce a new novel that, situations, governess, newly arrived in London, seeks position. Gardener wanted, cook required. English players take 3rd, 4th, and 5th places in the 6th American Chess Congress. That was important back then. The murders, we already looked at that. The Farrington Fish mystery. Discovered, let's see. Residents of Kirby Street, Farrington, discovered to their considerable astonishment that more than 100 fish, since identified as herring, had overnight and by means unknown made their way into the street and spread across it in an alarming fashion. There's another paragraph, but let's just assume that's just some goofy stuff.
That's 100 red herrings.
That is exactly what right. Peter Earl Hughes, deceased. And so there's, about his final affairs and whatnot. Sir Edgar set upon for 4th time in a fortnight. Strike at Bryant and May's Match Girls. Foreign news. Terrible flood in Johnstown. Canadian Pacific Railway lines span the continent. I already showed, I think, that there's a chess problem of the day. There's an ad for Crawshaw's Dies. Naval Defense Act has passed, and survivors of burned vessel rescued.
Okay.
So there could be interesting stuff in there, but who knows? Has anybody else said anything else? Check the society pages. Because they're young, rich. Well, they could be. Well, they're obviously Americans.
Where are the society pages?
Well, I mean, there's a person who writes on the society pages. So, and we could say if that's happened. Let's see. Right. Let's see here. Any other newspapers linked to the custom cases? Right. Is there a cane found near a crime scene? No, there was no cane at the crime scene. Good question. Scotland Yard. Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I'm kind of saying we should really get to the crime scene if at all possible.
So does JP. He says it.
Okay. Well, we don't know where the crime scene is, so if we want to do that, we pretty much have to go to Scotland Yard, talk to the boys in blue, and see if they'll tell us where exactly. Because all we know is it was an alley nearby Waterloo Bridge. That's all we know. Yep. Have we frozen? No. Okay, we were right.
Okay.
So, you agree with that?
I agree. Let's go.
Okay, so let's go talk to Lestrade and Gregson. That is 13SW. This is our second lead.
Okay.
All right, we're in SEs, SW, 13SW. All right. I'm going to get a drink of water. All righty. Hello, Wiggins.
Wiggins.
I don't know why he was just suddenly channeling Newman from Seinfeld, but hello, Lestrade. Lestrade mumbles as he stands by a desk, hurriedly dividing a stack of papers. Make it quick. Of course, Inspector, replies Wiggins. I certainly shall. You know me. Quick could perhaps be my middle name. Not many are quicker, and in fact, Lestrade stopped sorting papers for a moment to stare at Wiggins with narrowed eyes. Oh, do get to the point, Inspector. We are investigating 2 murders. Bonnie Layton and Atticus Dolly. We still have to make some inquiries, but we haven't got a lot to go on, and I doubt you chaps will find much either. Nothing? Let's see, actually, right. Oh, get to the point, Inspector. We're, right, all right. Nothing? But surely a man of your deductive powers must have found something, Inspector. Okay, so this is Lestrade saying, well, of course we did. Lestrade pauses a moment as he realizes he has taken the bait. Yes, Wiggins, very good. You may as well know, I suppose, for all the good it'll do you, we brought in Jasper Stokes, a known mugger who we've never actually been able to pin a conviction on. He was last seen in the area on the evening in question, but we have nothing out on him, and it was a long shot. The killings aren't really his style. He normally holds them at knife point, and only on one occasion did we suspect him of having killed a man. Add to that the fact that only one thing was stolen, one of Bonnie's rings, and Stokes starts to sound like an unlikely suspect. Thing is, Bonnie lived in London, and Atticus was just passing through with his band. Who would... Inspector Lestrade! Shouts a small, muscular constable, and Lestrade turns his attention to the man and grabs a stack of papers. Sorry, Wiggins, that's your lot, he says, and walks off quickly across the room. So that's it. So...
Bonnie lived in London.
Bonnie lived in London. Well, she's clearly married to somebody, although not somebody in the phone book, because there's no Leighton in the phone book. You should probably double check that, just in case I missed it.
We should check that, the guy who does the gossip on all the society people.
That has been suggested. But more importantly, he just started to mention that Atticus is in a band. And there was a story in the paper. Where was it? Cowboy tunes on banjo and violin will be performed by a troupe of genuine cowboys from the wild and untamed American West. One final and previously unannounced performance at the Tivoli Music Hall on Wednesday. So, that is likely the band he was in. He was a traveling Wilbury of sorts. Let's see. We could probably go to Tivoli Music Hall and talk to his and see if there's any leads there. We still have to talk to the criminal underworld because this was clearly an underworld tie of slang. We still have to go talk to what's his name, Murray, who's actually studying the wedding ring, I guess, of the lady of Anne. And I think that's everything we have.
Yeah, Murray, Porlock, Shinwell, and whoever the society guy is. Who's the guy that knows all the London gossip?
The guy who knows London gossip is Langdale Pike. Do you want to do the London gossip first?
Langdale Pike.
Yes. JP, no crime scene. Go figure. Which again is very, it's right off the bat, very unique. Normally the first thing you do is inspect the crime scene. But apparently there's nothing to be seen there. It's just a nondescript alley, I guess. So, let's see, the random letter and number classified correspond to the chess game. The random letter and number classified, oh, that was an odd thing. I don't know how to, it's a chess game. If anybody can make heads or tails, you can go on ahead and pause and look at that, that chess, oops, you go like this, that chess puzzle, and then knock yourself out. I don't know anything about chess.
And then read the numbers on the front again. Remember that really cryptic?
Oh, the cryptic numbers were, where were they? TS is the person who typed this. 3? Question mark. 2? Question mark.
No, that doesn't have anything
There
to do
are
with
no
chess.
more. Q. Or so I guess that was, and so that was 2Q from TS or whatever. It's very strange.
There's nothing to do with chess on that.
All right. What is the significance of the ring? Says Dave Morgan. So we got a lot of leads. It's just about picking the best lead.
Right.
If we want to try and beat Holmes. Because, of course, Holmes picked the important lead.
Well, we might be running around with our tails.
Yeah. Although, again, of course, there might be a whole subplot about his band, the Traveling Wilburys, or whatever they're called. The
Cowboy tunes.
Yeah, the genuine cowboys. Presumably, I don't think there was anything else about music in here, but that really stood out to me. That and they went out of the way to tell us he's in a band. So that's why he's here.
Well, and remember, his fingers were indented from wire.
His fingers were indented from wiring. He's a guitar player. There we go. We've solved it!
Woohoo!
The case is cracked! He plays a guitar. Or not.
I want to go talk to the society guy because she lived there.
In London?
In London. I think
But she could be poor.
Okay.
I mean, no, if you want to, that's cool with me. Is there a TV or radio on? Can't remember if property fences are available to talk to. There is a... Yeah, is there somebody about... No, there's not somebody to see if things have been bought or sold. There's just general purpose crime stuff.
Oh,
You know what? So, actually, I think this is a pretty good place to stop. We've got a whole bunch of leads we could follow up now. We've just barely scratched the surface of this case. And hopefully you guys have a pretty good idea of what this game is about. You pick a place, you go there, you make notes, you write down leads, you start piecing together a puzzle, and eventually you decide it's time to crack the case and see how well you did against Sherlock. And now, if you would like to stick around and watch the extended playthrough as Jen and I bumble our way around London with the help of the internet, you can go on ahead and hit the little I up in the top right corner of the screen to go to the extended playthrough, or instead you can go to Final Thoughts. Your choice in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,